welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace. Today is Today is June 16th. It is a Friday, which is exciting because the weekend is coming, which is awesome. This is a knitting podcast, and I also talk about sometimes spinning and hand-dyeing yarn and baking and books and cats and tea and pretty much anything, but mostly knitting, fiber-related things. I have all my social medias that will be linked down below if you'd love to go follow me. I am most active on Instagram, so if you pick one, I definitely recommend the Instagram. Also, the show notes will be linked, or they'll be on my blog, and if you're on YouTube, they'll be linked down below. I also have an online yarn store, which is thecatknitYarns.BigCartel.com. That will be linked down below. And also, there is a there's a Ravelry podcast group. You can go to Ravelry. It's very, very rambly week starting off this week. You can go to Ravelry, click on the groups tab, and search the Cat Knit Podcast, and it'll pop up. I'd love for it if you go and introduce yourself. I love hearing from my viewers. There's also an Ask Me Anything thread there if you like to ask me a question about myself or anything or whatever. I'd either answer it in the thread or on the podcast. I have tea today. It is not rainy, unfortunately. It has been incredibly hot. It has been kind of disgustingly hot. But I mean, you can't do without your tea. You need your tea. So, and I also have this very adorably cute mug. So, there is that. And yes, I don't think there's anything else that I need to say beforehand. Besides that, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about this week, and we're going to do it quickly before the people in the apartment complex come, because I can hear them. I can hear them. They are coming because it's sunny and they're working. Anyway, so hopefully it won't be too rambly, but we're going to do our best to get through it. So if you'd like to grab something tasty to drink and join me for some crappy chat. We're going to try and power through because they're kind of far away right now. Oh, they're kind of far away right now, so hopefully, but they're getting louder, so there's that. Do I wait? I don't know. I could go make icing because I need to make icing for cupcakes. Oh yeah, okay. Quick, before they come back. Or before they get too close again. Okay, so, knitting this week. I have gotten so much knitting done. I've gotten a lot of crocheting done. I've also gotten a lot of reading / audiobooking done, which has been really wonderful. I've gotten a lot of stuff done, which is really exciting, and, I'm going to stop moving around on this squeaky chair because it is very squeaky, and when I edit, I'm like, I need to stop moving around. But I will squeak when I bend over, so I do apologize for that. I have gotten a lot of knitting progress. I'm very surprised at the knitting that I've gotten done this week. I was not expecting to get this much done, and I think it's because of the motivation of Stash Dash, which is always a good motivation. If only I had that motivation when it's not Stash Dash. It is so hot in here. It's so hot. So it's exciting because my husband's family is coming this coming weekend, tomorrow, or today when you're watching this. And so I took the beginning of this week and did all my crafting, which I normally do all my crafting on like Thursday in order to get like content for the podcast. But because I needed Thursday and Friday to like get the apartment ready and do some baking, which is so exciting, I did all my crafting at the beginning. And also I realized that I don't have my rings on, so I'm gonna go get my rings really quick. So the biggest thing will probably be the brand new thing that I showed you guys last week, which is a brand new skill to me, or stitch or technique or something. It's crochet, and I don't crochet very much. But that is definitely being fixed with doing this. Uh-oh. This ball is falling apart. I'm almost done with the first ball that I have, and it's like falling apart. but I'm glad I'm almost done with this. The first ball, I mean. This yarn is Marble Chunky in the Volcano colorway. It's super fun. Last week I told you about my experience with writing about barber pulling versus Barbara pulling, and yes, fun times, fun things you didn't know about me. So that is what this yarn does, which is very wonderful. This is going to, I'll put this down. Last week I tried to put that in my hair and it really didn't work. Really wouldn't know because I have pigtails. But this is my blanket. What up? Look how much I've gotten done. Yay! This is the corner to corner method, technique. It's not really, like, it is a pattern, but it's not really a pattern. I don't know. I guess it is a pattern. Yeah, so the corner to corner pattern. And last week I was, let's see how I can show this to you guys. Last week I was there and I have crocheted that much more. So from, where did it go? Oh, here it is. It got pushed the other side. So from this little marker up, I got done this past week. So I will now move it up and we will see how much I get done this coming week. I don't know, like, I have no hopes of finishing this within Stash Dash by any means, but I am enjoying working on it, and it's one of those things where it's like, I know I need to work on it a little bit every day, otherwise it's never going to get done. So this is going to be one of the many corners, one of the four corners, because that's what a rectangle or a square is. Yes, shapes. And then once I get to the certain width, I'm assuming that I'm going to stop increasing on that side and continue increasing on the other side, maybe? I don't know. I haven't read that far ahead in the pattern, or like the whatever it's called. So that is very exciting. It is very wonderful. The rows are definitely very long at this point, but that's okay. I know they're just going to get longer, so why complain about it now? I am using a boy crochet hook. Nothing fancy. It's an I, size I, which I don't know what that is in, what the meter size is for that, but it will be in the show notes. Do not worry. In America, it's an I. I do know that much. I did make a lot of progress on the Joji Locatelli Starting Point Mystery Knit Along, which has now finished, and I hear people coming, doing work. It is now finished and the full pattern has been sent out to everybody, and I think you can probably buy the full pattern now, which is very exciting. I have seen pictures of what it looks like finished, and goodness gracious, it is beautiful. So I'm so excited to finish mine and just see how the colors all play together in like the big picture, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful the way it is right now, but I can't wait to see what it looks like. So I have been working on Clue 2, which, yes, I'm very behind. I do realize that. Been working on Clue 2 and literally just on the one half, because you have two halves that you work on at the same time. You do one clue on one side and then you repeat the whole clue on the other side. So it's very large now. I'm not increasing any more stitches, so that is good. But there are a lot of stitches, so it is a little bit more time consuming, which is the way of life, the way of knitting. If you want something beautiful, sometimes you have to put up with a lot of stitches. That is just the way it goes, and it's worth it. And here they come again. So yes, I have added this gray section and this little stripe here. And I also added this little stripe down here, the gray, the other stripe, and now I'm working on the pink. And then once I'm done with the pink, I will be done with Clue 2 and on this one side and do it on the other side. The other side currently looks like this. So I need to add stuff to this side. What are the yarns I am using, you might ask? I will tell you, dear friends of mine. Okay, so this mauvey rosy, it's called Havisham. It is Manastel Uruguay in the Pheno base, on their Pheno base, which is, it's got silk in it and it's mighty fine. This whitish color is called Rosewater, and it is also Manastel Uruguay on their Pheno base as well. Very, very soft. This light gray here, sorry, I had to check what it was. I could not tell from the angle of the camera, which is bad. I should know what yarns I'm using. This is the Madeline Tosh Mo Light. It has mohair in it, and it is in the kitten colorway. This is Madeline Tosh BFL, I think. Yes, in the flannel blanket colorway. And then this dark stripe right here is Madeline Tosh Mo Light in the toner cartridge colorway. So yes, we have all the colors. All of that information, if you would like them in more detail, are on my project page on Ravelry. Go away. Please do not be loud. That's not quiet, people. Please be quiet. I might have to wait for a little bit more. It's just getting louder. Meanwhile, I'm looking at cat videos on Facebook. Because why not? They've kind of gone away, so we're going to take advantage of that and podcast quickly before they come back. So yes, all of that information, if you would like it in bigger detail, is on my Ravelry page, my Ravelry project page, which will be linked in the show notes. Yes. So yes, that is the Joji Locatelli starting point in this Straighten It Along. I'm very far behind, but that is okay because it's the thought that counts. Moving along, I cast on something because, you know, sometimes you need to cast on something new. My thought process was that 1, stash, so that's okay. 2, most of the things I'm working on right now are really big, and I wanted something that would not take me as long, in theory. It's probably going to take me a while, but that's okay. Squeaky chair. Do apologize. I am loving this, like, goodness gracious. It is so much fun. I'll pick up the yarn. So, I definitely listed this in my list of patterns that I wanted to knit for Stash Dash, and I think a couple weeks ago I showed you what yarn I wanted to use for it, and I will show it to you again. These two beautiful colors paired together. This gray one is my own yarn. It is Catnip Yarns on the Pizzazz base, which has Stellina in it. Excuse me. It is in the Storm Cloud colorway. So it's a tonal gray with flecks of darker gray and some blacks in there. And then this yarn I have been holding on to. It's been one of those special yarns that I've held on to because it's just so beautiful and I didn't know what to use it for, and I knew that it needed to be really special, and yeah, so that's very exciting. What is this, you might ask? This is Savvy Skeins. It is on the Lavish sock base, and there was no colorway name on the tag, so, but, go away, I'm explaining yarn. This is important. But, so the Savvy Skeins, which will be linked in the show notes, do not worry. She is local-ish. She's a Texan. She lives in New Braunfels, I believe. And so that is cool to support your local Texan dyers. Always good. So yes, I will now show you. You're probably like, oh, enough of the yarn. What are you knitting? Oops, I just dropped it. Pick that up. Okay. So this is the Fingering Brioche Bandana Cowl, which is kind of a mouthful, but that's okay. And here's what I have so far. It is itty bitty. It does not look like a cowl, or really anything. It could be a headband. But yes, here is what I have so far. There's the one side, and then there's the other side. I'm really enjoying the brioche. I do not understand it. Like crocheting, it's one of those things where I understand the motions, I understand what I'm supposed to do, but I don't understand why, I don't understand how it works. And that is what I'm working on. And because this is literally just going round and round and round and round for a long time, I'm working on figuring out the ins and outs of brioche. It's really easy though. It looks super complicated. And it actually was not as complicated as I thought it was to set up. Mainly the brioche that I've done in the past have been in Stephen West patterns, and obviously his patterns are really complicated. They're not complicated. They can be complicated, and so with the brioche sections, there were a lot of like setup rows, and like to me that was like, this sounds intense. You have to set up brioche and like do all this bunch of stuff, and I don't understand what's going on. So I was a little worried casting on this because I wasn't sure if I was gonna need to like go look up tutorials, because that's what I needed in the past to set up brioche, but it was actually literally just knitting and yarning over, so I didn't have anything to worry about. You do have to remember where you yarn over to, because there's different yarn overs for if you're knitting or if you're purling, but that is literally the only thing that you have to keep track of, and then which yarns you're using, which again, that's okay. It's very easy. You're either holding a gray yarn or you're holding a pink yarn or a peach yarn. It's very easy to tell. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited about working on this. It's very much a mindless knit, even though it is brioche, and I'm very glad that it is a mindless knit. And it's very easy, it's very small, obviously it's on a 16-inch circular needle, so I have a little stitch marker. It's great. I love it. And yes, who is that pattern by? Let me look it up really quick because I don't remember looking it up, because I did pull it up because I am that good. It's okay. Lavinia Patricella. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but I do apologize if I am. That is her name right there, and there's a picture of it. So yes, it will be linked in the show notes, do not worry. That is very exciting. And yes, so I cast that on maybe on Tuesday, I think, ish. So I wound up the yarn while I was cleaning a little bit, and it was like, you know what? I should cast something on. And it felt really good. It felt like, yay! So it made me feel good, and that's what you love. That's all that really matters. So yes, that is a new cast on. More yardage towards Stash Dash, which is always good. I'm still very much behind, but I'm not keeping to it in any like very strict regard, so I'm doing just fine in my mind. I'm doing just fine. I'm finishing old projects, and that's great. So that is that. Let's move things out of the way because it's getting a little cluttered down here. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw this picture, or a picture, excuse me, what am I trying to say? A picture of some yarn laid out on a little wooden table, and you might be wondering, what are you going to make with that? I did mention in the caption, but that's not any like indication of what it is necessarily. So actually I'll show you the yarn first, because I do have a picture of it, because yay me. Do apologize for the shaking of the camera. So these yarns, let me show them without the tag. Yay, these yarns, just so beautiful. Like, I just love this combination so much. It makes me so happy. I don't know. I've been knitting a lot more pinks recently. I've noticed that as well, and I don't know why. but that's okay because, I mean, all colors are wonderful. All colors are beautiful. So yes, what are these yarns? This is Tosh Merino Light in the Smokestack colorway. It's a very beautiful tonal gray. It's a little bit lighter than the Kitten. Here we go. It's a little bit more accurate. The middle color is Tosh Mo Light in the Antler colorway. This is an extra skein that I had left over from my old romance cardigan. Very neutrally. And then the last skein is what brings us all together, and this is another skein I've been holding on to because I just love it so much. I love the dyer so much. The colors are incredible. I love her podcast. She has a podcast, which will be linked down below. Who is this person? This is Amy of Stranded Dye Works. Whoop. And she is very wonderful. I watch her podcast religiously. It is amazing. This is on her solo base, as it says right there, which is 100% superwash merino, and it's in the color Nougat. So there's 400 yards here. It's a single. I love like this right here. This just like, it's just so amazing. It's just such a beautiful vibrant pink with like bits of orange and splashes of dark orange, and it's just like, I need to knit this now, but also no, because I have to find the perfect thing. And my friends, I have found the perfect thing. I'm so excited about it, and with these yarns together makes the perfect combination, and I don't think I've been this excited about a color combination in a while. No, that's not true. I'm very excited about pretty much any color combination, but this particular color combination is just like, I'm having a very hard time not casting this on right now, but I know I need to wait until I finish something else because I'm gonna have way too many things on the needles. So what am I going to be making? I'm gonna be making the fringe, chevron fringe shawl. Yes. Chevron fringe shawl, yes. By Suzanne Summer, or Suze, I think is her like pattern name maybe thing on Ravelry. I'll show you a picture. There's a picture of it. So it's very, and it goes out farther on each side like a shawl normally would. So it's very chevron-y, it's very gartery, there's fringe, the pattern says that you make the fringe as you go, which I've never done before, so that is very exciting. There is the name and her name, and it'll be linked in the show notes. Do not worry. So yes, I'm so excited about this. I do not know, I haven't looked really that much into the pattern. I do have the pattern, so I'm very, very much ready to go. I just feel bad about casting something else on this week because that would be a total of 2 things. And this is another big thing. That was the thing. I was like, so many things. I mentioned in my Instagram post about having a hard time not casting this on right away. And I was thinking about what I wanted to cast on, and I was like, I could cast on this, but I could also cast on the little brioche bandana cowl. But also I really want to cast on this, but I was like, this is a big thing. I have way too many big things on the needles right now. I need something small, something relatively instant gratification. So this is put on hold for a little bit. I don't know what I'm gonna plan on finishing before I cast this on. I might finish the cowl and then cast this on. I don't know. Who knows, maybe something else will pop up, like a hat or something like that, but that I need to make. But oh my goodness, I am so excited about this. So excited. I just love these colors. They make me so happy. It's like good wintry colors, it's good springy colors and summery colors. Maybe not so much fall colors, but that's okay. That's okay. It's beautiful. actually you could probably call it a fall color. There's flecks of darkness in there. Beautiful darkness. I rambled on too long about how much I love these yarns, so I will move on. So we will move on now. Moving on and show you this. So if you remember, this is living in my very nice Christie Cookies bag, which held bananas at one point, which I think is very fun. A fun fact about this bag. This holds my Brecken sweater, and there are lots of ends that I have, or not ends. It's just a lot of loose yarn. Okay, I will tell you a story about this sleeve. I was knitting on this sleeve in the car this past week, or this past weekend or something like that. I was knitting on it at some point, and I was pulling it out of the bag, and I did that dumb mistake that probably every knitter has done at some point in their lives. If you're knitting on something with DPNs, you always pull out the wrong needle. I did that, and it was like, no, I've been knitting for how long and I still do this? This is really dumb of me, but it really doesn't matter how long you've been knitting because it's an accident literally anybody can make. So if you do it, don't beat yourself up. Just save your stitches as quickly as possible. So if you don't knit, if you're very confused about what in the world I'm talking about. Okay, so rewind. What are DPNs? DPNs are double pointed needles, which means they have an open end on both sides. Stitches can go on one end, they can go off the other end. They're good for very small things, especially if they're in the round, which means they're just like connected and they go in a circle. And they're good for sleeves. I personally prefer doing sleeves on circular needles, the one with the cord in between, but I could not find the right size, so double pointed needles it was. A lot of people, there's a big debate about, it's ultimately personal preference, but the best way to knit socks, whether that's magic loop, 2 at a time, DPNs, and what other ways there are, I don't know. My personal favorite way when I knit socks is DPNs. That's just because that's the way I learned. I have tried a 2 at a time, and I have tried magic loop, and I just don't even know how to do that. But I have tried. It is not for me. DPNs are the way to go. So, as you could see, it would be very easy if you were not looking at what you were doing. You could, in thinking that you were pulling an empty needle, which might be stuck in your work like that, you might think you were pulling this needle, but in actual fact you were pulling this needle with live stitches on it, and you'd pull it and all the live stitches would be then out in the open, they could unravel, and all your work could be lost. It's a very scary moment for any kind of knitter. If you've experienced this, you know what I'm talking about. It's just like that. You're sitting there and you're like, oh no, if I move in any way, it's gonna all unravel. Although that does depend on the type of yarn, and that goes into a whole nother conversation about like grip and yarn memory and all this other kind of stuff. But thankfully, this yarn is pretty grippy. It didn't unravel. I did have some issues with like the couple last stitches, but that was my own fault. I was able to save everything. It was just fine. But it happened. I hadn't done that in a very long time, because usually when I know I have something on the double pointed needles in a bag and I'm like, I need to be really careful about which needle I pull, because if I'm not careful, I'm going to pull the one with all the live stitches on it and it's going to just go away. So yes, story time over. I have a long sleeve. Look how long this sleeve is. Story time is over. Now we're going to go back to knitting. Goodness gracious, look how much I have knit. It's such a big sleeve. I am actually almost done with this sleeve, if you can believe it or not. I am going to increase the length by a little bit, maybe an inch. just because I like my sleeves a little bit longer, and I think it hit me right around there, so I want it to be around here when it's done. So yes, I am enjoying it. It's another mindless knit. I am almost done with all the increases. As you can see, I have done all the increases. I have a little marker marking where I did, where I stopped one kind of increase. I'm doing a different kind of increase now, meaning by every other row or whatever. Row differences. That sounded very convoluted, but it really is not. It's just marking how many rows I do in between increases. That is all it means. It's nothing too terribly important. So yes. This is Brecon Sweater by Amy Christophers. This is Knit Picks palette in the Tea Rose colorway. I have a full ball here. Uh-oh, needles are coming out of the bag. Dun dun. Knit Picks palette in the Tea Rose colorway. It is a 2-ply, so it's very thin, but that's okay. I really like it. I am excited to wear it. I am done with this ball. I'm probably going to get one sleeve out of one ball, which I am thrilled about, which leaves 4 other balls for the body, which is really great. Who knows, I might have some left over. I don't know. So yes, this is what I have left over so far. I'm almost done with this, with both of them, clearly. Yes, so that is very exciting. Brecon Sweater sleeve is almost done. So yes, put that away. Put these needles away as well. Boop. Ta-da. So that is it for knitting content this week. I do have a little more to chat about because it's always fun to have a little extra non-knitting items. If you have a Goodreads, if you know what Goodreads is, isn't it a wonderful thing? If you don't know what Goodreads is, it's basically like a mixture of like Facebook or Ravelry. If you know what Ravelry is, it's basically like that for books. If you don't know what Ravelry is, it's basically like a Facebook database for books where you can go and you can mark your progress, you can make like bookshelves for yourself, you can have to-read lists, you can join groups, you can set challenges for yourself, and it'll like mark your progress as you go. There's also like lists that it creates of things that it thinks you'll like based off of other things that you've read. There are lists that other people in the world of the internet have made. If you like historical fiction in 2016, there's probably a list for that. And it's just so wonderful. I could get wrapped up in Goodreads for hours and hours and hours, just like dreaming about what I want to read or listen to, which just is like, there's not enough hours in the day to devote to that much reading or listening to stuff. If you are listening to stuff, you can do other things while you do it, which I have been doing that a lot this week, which is what I'm going to talk about. I don't remember what exactly I have read / listened to all this week because there have been several things, but I will link my Goodreads account and you can go and follow what I have been reading. You can see that I'm doing how many books I'm reading in 2017, which I believe is 25 books. And I'm definitely ahead of schedule thanks to this past week, which is very wonderful. I will talk about the book that I am just now starting. I started yesterday. This is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. I have never read any of Erik Larson's books before, but I have heard nothing but good things. This is a book based in Chicago around 1893, which is it's about the World Fair, and it's kind of like a murder mystery, but it actually happened at the same time. So it's a cunning serial killer who used the fair to lure his victims to their death. So that was off the back of the cover. It's gotten a lot of really good reviews. I have seen a lot of other books that he has written. He's written In the Garden of the Beasts, which is the little thingy is a love, terror, and American family in Hitler's Berlin. So that sounds very interesting. I think I actually have that somewhere in the many boxes of books that have not been unpacked yet. What I also really appreciate, I was looking through the book, not to read ahead, but to just looking to see what's in the back. I really, really appreciate that he has, like, every single chapter has sources, which, like, I know you can't really see that, but, like, each chapter has sources. And I think that's really cool. It's just a sign that he did his research, like, incredibly well. He's got, his bibliography in the back. And it's several pages long. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I have not read it. I started it forever ago and got maybe like a couple, they're not really chapters, they're like sections. I got a couple sections in and just stopped for whatever reason. So I'm going to start again and see how it goes. I will let you know how it goes. That is another really great thing about Goodreads. You can rate your books and write reviews. So if you want to like let people know what you thought about a certain book, you can write a review and let them know. You can also have friends. You can connect your Goodreads to your Facebook, which I don't know if you want to do necessarily, because then you have a bunch of random people that you don't talk to who are now your Goodreads friends, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you might not care what they're reading about. So that is a thing to take into consideration. But if you'd like to be my friend on Goodreads, I would love to be your friend as well. We can be Goodreads buddies, so we can see what each other are reading. So yes. I've also been taking great advantage of the fact that the Houston Public Library has a lot of stuff online, such as ebooks and audiobooks, that I can still take advantage of because I have a library card, even though I live not in Houston. I live in Irving or Dallas. Dallas-Fort Worth. Irving. Yes, you get the idea. Even though I don't live there, I can still take advantage of it. It is wonderful. I really should get a library card for the local library. I know it's not too far away, but I am just really appreciating the Houston one right now. So, yeah, that is wonderful. Point of the story, Goodreads is awesome. If you'd like to follow me, that's super cool. That'll be linked down below or in the show notes. And yeah, what are you reading? What are you reading this summer? I'm very torn between like really light fluffy reads because I love those, and if it's an audiobook, I can just like let it play and I don't really have to pay attention. If it's a book, I can skim, or I can just kind of be like, oh, this is a fun read, without being like, what is the meaning of life or whatever. Not having to take up too much mental energy. I really appreciate those kind of books. I do enjoy those books quite a lot, so please don't judge me if you see them on my Goodreads. But I also really enjoy like historical fiction about like the Devil in the White City. That sounds pretty intense. So I'm excited to read that. It's good to like switch it up, but sometimes I'm not very good about switching it up. So sometimes I'll read like 5 fluffy books in a row, and I'm worried about the people on Goodreads judging me. But who cares? They're just books. They're just books. Or audiobooks. So it's very random rant. And yes, I think the content has now ended. I think I have finished everything that I need to say. Thankfully, the apartment complex people have not been too loud. They have been very quiet, which is very wonderful, even though it is very sunny outside. There are no clouds. It's going to be very hot today. I am not looking forward to that. It's still very early in the morning, and so if it's hot now, goodness knows what it's going to be later. But that's okay. That's why we stay inside. We have air conditioner. We have fans. We survive. It's all okay. That was another thing about this week. It got hotter throughout the week, so I'm glad that I got all my crafting done with wool and yarn and stuff on my lap early on in the week when it was cooler, and then as it got hotter it was just like, I don't want to knit because it's just so hot. I don't like it when that happens. It does not make me happy, but that is okay because it's not going to be hot for forever. It's going to be fine. Just fine. So yeah, that is this week's episode. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. If you are a new viewer, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Like always, the show notes will be linked down below if you're on YouTube, or if you're on my blog, they're down below. All my various social medias will also be linked down below. There's Facebook, Twitter, Ravelry, and Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram by far. Also now there's Goodreads. I wouldn't say that's a social media though. It'll be linked down below though as well. Do not worry. Goodreads is wonderful, like I said before. But that's another rant we don't need to go into again because we already have. Where was I? Oh, there's a Ravelry podcast group. You can go to the groups tab on Ravelry and search the Catnip Podcast and it'll pop up. It is a very quiet group. That is okay. That is all because of, that's my own fault. But there's an Ask Me Anything thread if you want to ask me any kind of questions about me or knitting or books or, I don't, Texas. I probably can't answer those questions very well, but you never know. I could try. I've lived here a while. There's that. Or whatever you want to ask. I will either reply to it in the forum itself or on the podcast. Probably on the podcast just because it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff. There's also a online shop where you can buy some yarn that I've hand dyed. It is thecatknitYarns.bigcartel.com. That'll be linked down below. And yes, I hope you have a fun weekend. I hope your crafty plans are successful. I am looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of fun with family coming and baking and yes, fun times ahead. And crafting as well. Hopefully more crafting, making more progress. I am now going to go frost some cupcakes, which is very fun. I think that is very exciting because I'm going to add sprinkles, and sprinkles are always fun to decorate with. Yes, I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope you continue to have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. And I guess I'll see you guys next week. Bye!